If I was the president, you would not be legally obligated to name your child, that you would be allowed for your child to name itself. As far as with immigration, the significant vast majority of people that immigrate to America is for the American dream. You get the whole idea with that. They come to contribute, seek opportunity, bring more to the table than they take. Gays, you know, our nation solely doesn't have an official language, it doesn't have an official religion, so that should not pertain to anything oppressing the gay community. As far as Black Lives Matter, yeah, they do. And how I know so is I was born with unfair, unearned privilege as a tall, handsome white man with brown hair. So, and that's unfair and unjust. So, I mean, what else things are there? I would be Green Party. I wouldn't be so much divide the people politically. Um, it would be important to take care of the planet. I wouldn't just prohibit plastic. I wouldn't just prohibit everything. I would actually make things more lenient as far as the things we have access to. There's a lot of intelligent people that don't have access to the products you need to be a scientist and have a PhD to access, and and the reason that I came up with that is because the Yeti thermoses that keep the drinks cold, I believe there's certain things that are maybe even like radioactive that can keep the water cold for weeks. And so, because I'm a little suspicious about the Yeti, it's so good that I'm like, maybe they have minute amounts of something in it inside of the metal, the vacuum stainless steel kitchen grade. I'm like, maybe the metal has other components in it and that they're lying to us. As far as McDonald's, what I would do is be a fan of it. I'm a fan of McDonald's. I'm a fan of the dollar menu when the dollar menu existed. Okay, so if they can't afford to have a dollar menu anymore, then they need to lower the quality of the food so that we can have good tasting food, so that we can eat rather than just be hungry. And with that, the value of a dollar, you learn how to take pride in yourself, and you can hustle, and provide for yourself, and that gives you a sense of meaning rather than going to a food bank where they're like everyone's heads down and like people be like, do you believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? And it's like, yeah, I do. Okay, like give me the food, because there's no options, then you gotta just, there's a lot of suffering in the world. I'm trying to think of, other people, like, the groups that exist. As far as the military, if you're in the military and you're able to be sent to war, tortured, and murdered, then you're allowed to drink a beer. You see where that goes. Alcohol reform would be a priority for me so that our nation can have a healthier relationship with it. And it would be modeled off many of the countries that, 15 or 18 to drink, like Germany, many other places that drinking is a part of their culture, ceremonially. They typically have a healthier relationship with alcohol. And with that, I would also ensure that the zero tolerance policy does not exist, because it has no relevance in the blood alcohol content to operate the machinery. How impaired you are has zero to do with point zero 0.02 or point zero 0.08 and its relation to how old you are, okay? Of which the human brain doesn't fully develop till 25, as some say. But when puberty is certainly high school, although Tyson Chicken has fully lowered the average age of a female having their first period, there's a lot of things that need to change in America. Green Party would address the Ogallala water aquifer being depleted faster than it's being replenished, as well as pollution of our waters. And as far as forests, there's so much forest that's just not allowed to be in. So it's not just save all the trees and don't use it. It would be more lenient laws towards dispersed camping. As far as money, capitalism is not going away in our lifetime. Okay, the people that are anti-capitalism, as long as every American is alive, money will exist. And so, but with that, my view on money is that most people, when they have an adequate amount of money, they make better decisions. They don't feel that they're trash and that they're not worth $5 when they've already gone through however many salads, however many vegetables, however many pairs of shoes and socks and clothes that they've gone through in their life, and however many drinks and sodas they've gone through in their life. It really is all we got from the top to the bottom of you're only as strong as your strongest link. But as far as who's going to be the next president, one of my suggestions is Tony Robbins, and for the reason that his initiative would be to lessen suffering. He's a hardworking person. He's very passionate. And I believe that he could be a great president. He's old, although I'm old enough and qualified to be a president, being American and a veteran and all of these things, and being 35. I think Tony Robbins would be a cool president because we could make fun of him like we mock all the presidents and like the masks and the voice like impressions of Trump and such, and Bill Clinton and all these things, and George W. You know what I mean? Like, Tony Robbins is an amazing person, and he would make a huge impact on America, and it would be funny at the same time. So other than that, who else is going to be the next president? Either way, I don't think, when these Republicans are hating on the Democrats, saying they need to get a job, our tax dollars are paying their welfare and food stamps, and I work hard for my money. And then you got the liberals saying, to the farmers, give all the street people your food you grew for free. And everyone's just so divided with their opinions. Maybe it would be important to have a non-biased religious president, being that there is no national religion, there is no national language. Maybe someone who's adaptable, who can relate to everybody, someone who's willing to do that hard job of being the president. I think people, when people started boycotting, or when people started boycotting Dr. Peterson, he just made his lectures in the morning. Then they all stopped showing up. So everyone thinks being the president is easy. Being a low-level private in the military under the president, that's the commander-in-chief alone with his other responsibilities, it's a very demanding job, and there's no time off. It's not just chill in the game room in the White House. It's a huge responsibility, and I think I would be a great president. If not after Trump, maybe in my lifetime. I'm trying to think of what else things exist. As far as drugs, have a healthy relationship with cannabis, don't abuse it. As far as that, everyone that says it's not addicting, that's not true. The heavy smokers, when they're out, they're fiending for whatever their choice of cannabis is. They have to just continuously fuel that fire. And that's an addiction that basically, for most, just doesn't go away in their lifetime. I've met some Rastafarians that say it's a natural herb, and yeah, but the lungs specifically are meant for oxygen and air, not fumes. So it's unhealthy, but so is all of our food. So on the national level, cannabis would be legal, and just fully legal. This nation's really needs some improvement. As far as vehicles, when 30% of deaths in America, of 300 million Americans at least, on a daily basis are due to vehicles, we don't need this heavy of a vehicle. We could just have a bunch of go-karts, and they could be electric and fast. And as far as the airspace, it would be important to basically have a 1 hour class, a quick breakdown on how to use the hot air balloon. And if anything, like Nate Bargatze was talking about, you ever been on a boat, and it's a bunch of drunk people and a kid driving the boat, because the laws are different on boats. Boats are significantly dangerous. I mean, most people know how to drive a vehicle. Does it have to be that heavy? Really? Thousands of pounds to get you and your lunchbox to work? I mean, if anything, we could significantly raise the speed limit with making our vehicles really lightweight and safer. We don't need all of these gas guzzling things, of which the non-renewable resource of oil is so wasted and polluting. I'm not against using oil and gasoline in these things, but when hot air balloons, the technology is so advanced to just have a butane heater basically and poof up, a parachute, we could really put all of our fuels to fun and just fly around in hot air balloons, hoping not to crash in water, having some, flotation devices. And, we can already work remote more nowadays because of technology. Wi-Fi exists on planes, you know, but even then, you can get those things that you can order and just hook up to your laptops and connect to satellite for Wi-Fi. There's got to be a more beautiful way to live life than this rat race of 9 to 5, overworked and underslept, you know? Where you have to have a cell phone, live in a home, have an address connected to that ID, have valid, insurance on a vehicle that's reliable to transport you, and a birth certificate and a social security card. Like things need to be a little bit more opportunistic for others. Like we are so bottom feeding as a mass, you know. Um what was I thinking recently about monopolies? The real estate market, dude. When every business can't even stay in business because it's a full real estate monopoly. The very few own all of the things and slumlord everything out to everybody, and then they're working their life away, paying with their life and time of it to keep the roof over their head, which is 8-foot ceilings, and white walls and white lights, of which the quality of the architecture be not to the standard that men had originally set. With hardworking lumberjacks, the 2x4 is a 1.5 by 3.5, and the geometry of our architecture is pathetic. I mean, the quality of things just, as far as Make America Great Again, it's a real thing. Because it's not what it used to be. Riding dirt bikes around in the 80s and like things like that. Like, it's all these stipulations and hoops to jump through and just more rules. And no wonder the youth just stays inside. There's nothing to go out to anymore. What happened to all the theme parks that were affordable? The circus died. The golden age of circus is gone because middle America, as far as middle class America, cannot fund entertainment. Malls aren't what they used to be. The movie theaters aren't what they used to be. Things used to be affordable. And now the only affordable thing in America is substance abuse. Truly. So a lot of things do need to change. And it's important that, after Trump, being that he's not allowed to be president again after his 2 terms, that we have a good president. And I was just thinking, like, who should be the president? And I was like, maybe it should be Tony Robbins. For whatever he supports, I'm in. You want to be a Republican, Tony Robbins? I got you. I'll vote for you. You want to be a Democrat? I got you. I'll vote for you. But either way, it's got to be somebody. I personally think if a woman was to be president, that our lives would be more at risk as Americans due to the likelihood increasing of a significant terrorist attack. Okay? And we all know Moms is the boss anyways. Okay? What's Mom stand for? Made of money. So put your money where your mouth is and vote for me or Tony Robbins or me as vice president or something. Okay?